Good evening. It was a day dominated by the two big issues in this EU referendum campaign. On the economy, the Governor of the Bank of England, Mark Carney, predicted something close to Armageddon if Britain were to leave, an alarming cocktail of recession, higher inflation, higher unemployment and a weaker pound. But on immigration, the Office for National Statistics agreed that the number of people coming here from the EU, as counted by national insurance applications, was far higher than the figures the government has been relying on, at least twice as high, in fact.
There are many issues in this EU referendum, but the economy and immigration have so far been the biggest ones and probably will be until polling day. So it matters when the Bank of England warns of a Brexit recession, and it also matters when the national statistician says there are more migrants in this country than we thought. So to the economy, and the Bank of England governor was today making his latest assessment of the UK. But when asked about the effect of leaving the EU, he made a significant and not uncontroversial intervention.
Material slowdown in growth, notable increase in inflation. It is a judgment not based on a whim, it's a judgment based on rigorous analysis and careful consideration.
And that careful consideration, Mr. Carney added, had led him to this conclusion about the R word.
Now, of course, there's a range of possible scenarios around those directions, which could possibly include a technical recession, could possibly include that.
Of course, some businesses might agree with the governor that the economy is on pause for the referendum, but not this one. The Wetherspoons pub chain has a boss who thinks we should leave the EU, and he also thinks the bank governor should not attempt to make predictions, nor is it his place to try.
He's been talking too long to George Osborne. He's just got it wrong. I also think he's slightly starting to like the sound of his own voice, and he's appearing too much on television. He's not neutral.
And this Tory MP, also a Leave campaigner, says the governor has overstepped the mark.
Oh, very much so. I think he should be fired for what he has done. I think he has become a partisan. He is a Canadian politician. He now seems to want to be a British politician too.
The Leave campaign were reacting to that news, but they'd rather have focused on a different story. The Office for National Statistics tried to explain today a discrepancy in immigration numbers. Like this one. Official figures show 250,000 EU arrivals in the year to September 2015. But in the same year, there were 650,000 national insurance numbers issued to EU citizens, which then is the right figure. The government uses a survey of those arriving and asks how long they plan to stay. But if these Polish migrants had been asked if they were planning to stay for the long term, they'd have said,
I would say no.
But you're here.
Like 5 years.
I would say no. I would say no.
Daniel Siskowski might not have intended to stay, but actually he's been in the UK for much longer.
And that was
2007.
My reading of today's statistics today, that was something of an underestimate, perhaps on the order of 1 to 200,000 or 15 to 30%.
However, the government insisted its measure was and is the most accurate.
I'm pleased that today the ONS has, with its normal impartiality, confirmed that the statistics we use, based on the International Passenger Survey, do have the necessary integrity and remain the best measure for understanding net migration.
It is a measure and it's a confusing picture, but we can now say short-term migration at least is higher than the official figures show.
And Chris is here. Well, let's start with immigration and be blunt. Can we even vaguely rely on the government's immigration figures?
Well, we can rely on them because of this reason. They use those people that are here for more than 12 months so they can plan things. They can build hospitals and schools and roads and all the rest of it. And they say that those who have been here for less than 12 months, well, you know, actually some of them are quite economically advantageous. For example, they come here, they tend not to bring families, they tend to have jobs, they pay taxes. Therefore, they don't use schools and hospitals in the way in which permanent migrants do. So there is a distinction. The thing is, if you're having these temporary migrants here year on year on year, or as you heard in my report there, some of them say, actually, we're not staying and end up staying, then clearly the migration levels in this country are higher. And I think if you were to scorecard this one for remain over here and leave over here, you'd have to put a mark in remain.
Okay.
Sorry.
Leave. It's easily confused at this stage of this campaign. But on which subject?
Yes.
let's go to the other side of the debate.
Right.
How much can we rely on what the Governor of the Bank of England said today?
Let's get the scorecard out again. I would put all of these, all of these in Remain. I did mean Remain. Because actually, I listened to the Governor of the Bank of England. At no point did he say that there were any economic advantages whatsoever to Brexit. There is, for example, a bit of a drag on the economy at the moment because we're having the referendum at all. That is slowing some investment decisions. But if we were to Brexit, as it's known, unemployment would go up, growth would go down, investment would go down, consumer consumption would go down. It was all bad. And I think if you were, again, get the scorecard out, they would all have to go in Remain because he didn't sit on the fence on this one.
One of the questions they're being asked today is whether he should have said it at all.
Well, he's an independent governor of the Bank of England. I put this to his spokesman who said, look, if he were to say in July, you know what, way back in May, when News at 10 were doing the story, if I said that I had all this information and I didn't tell you about it, then you would have complained. It's my job as the governor to interpret the information that I've got in front of me, and that, he said, is what he did.
OK, Chris, thank you very much indeed. Now